Memento Mori. My VIP cohort, ready to lend an ear. I am going to announce something cool today. We are going into Memento Mori. And Memento Mori is remembering that we must die. And as grim as that may sound, it is one of the most freeing things that somebody can do. And wonder why it is. It's that there's only two guarantees in this life and death. And how we live out our lives is important. And it's not just the average saying of just get a job. We only live once. No, that's not the point of how Memento Mori is. It is coming into deep thought of our existence and our purpose, our mission, our vision and goals and purpose, all coordinating together into projects that are time blocked and timelined to a deadline. As crazy as that sounds, all those things are a system that come together as a habit. Whether or not it's executed upon correctly or it gets delayed is not the point. The point is, of the time that we put towards something, whether good or bad, we face the outcomes of it each and every day. And we have to pay that price, for better or worse. That's how it is. We need to understand that when we look at the face of death, it's something that must humble us. It must really reconnect us to people or nature. Because when we totally go off the rails and we just think that nature, humans, animals are just the end of themselves and that I will get more power by stepping over somebody, it's kind of evil to not step away and look at it in a different lens. We are given so much opportunity in today's world to pick up a book and understand so many lenses and to read situations as they deem fit. We then are with a new obligation. Are we going to allow this new knowledge that allows us to act more empirically and metaphysically? And I know some people, scientists, will be like, what the heck, metaphysically? When I say metaphysically, it's the things that we can't truly explain. That's all I'm trying to go at with that part. And the empirical is just repeatability of that said task or group of testing. Don't butcher me on that. So, after we commit to this and we look at the whole landscape of things, one moment. Thank you. We start to see our own selves. And that's where the inner mastery comes in. If we look only to externals, we fail to look internal. And if we're only internal, we fail to see externals. We have to play with it like a blender and put things in there and see what works best. And look at society and our group of people and our cohort. I like the word cohort, but in our organization is another great word too. And see where is the best fits. If somebody is very timid and is scared to go up on a presentation or announce something to people, you do not want to be pulling a Machiavelli and try to manipulate them and do this. It will actually probably turn out worse because you're now trying to warp a situation where that's not helping them. As if you went more to the stoic side and say, hey, you can't control the outcome of this. Whether people like it or not is not the case. You can't please everybody. Just trust that all the work that you've done planning beforehand and coming to now and taking deep breaths and all these things of our inner control and our inner choices, because we have two handles. And this is not of the physical plane, but more of the mind. You can choose to let fear hamper you, or you can choose courage in this moment in spite of fear. And then they can level head and allow a gap for where they can enter. That's a better allocation. Now, let's say I am fighting somebody in court and they're trying to use my words against me. Now that's where I have to shift to the Machiavellian side and now start maneuvering and putting things in a better light where I can be victorious, because they are not allowing me to get breathing room or look at me as a human. They're trying to win and scrutinize everything of me. That's why Machiavellian comes important there. And to aid in that too is Miyamoto Musashi and Sun Tzu. Miyamoto Musashi is more for like mastering your craft and understanding the 5 books. Well, he called it the 5 rings. And it's a great read, go into that. But it mainly goes into understanding your craft and seeing how to be looking at many views. And the elements that he used for each book is just phenomenal. Because it's one book, but there's like different chapters that are books considered. And Sun Tzu is like one of the best for positioning and planning. You have to see beyond just what the let's say you have only blinders and you're just set focused. You don't see what's around you. Sun Tzu gives you that planning and awareness to see spatially and also get in tactically like this. So when you're locked in, when you put all this together, you're now set for a better victory in the areas that are a must. And you're set for a victory to help somebody who's in need. And that's why I came to my criteria of I search for readers, warriors, and abandoned. And you can have one and we build out the rest, but you need to try to strive for these 3. If you only have one, let's have the reader first, because the reader can develop the other 3s easily because of coachability. Higher likelihood of that happening. It's not a guarantee, just more higher likelihood. But you must retain the warrior, the reader, and the abandoned. I believe those traits are more crucial than ever, because in this age of mediocrity, of unknowns, it's going to take competence of a new level to use what large language models can alleviate, but also the human side that can guide it to the solutions needed. Because humans have the what's the word for it? Free will? Now that can be very much up for debate, but in the free aspect of thinking that can conjecture and put it to words within the model itself. Now I've gone off a little bit on explaining those things, so let's come back around to Memento Mori. Remember that we must die. And the one book that really connected me deeply was When Breath Becomes Air. And this is talking of how a medical student that graduated and thought he was going to have this great life passes away of cancer. And it's not immediate, it's a progressing where he has some wins and then it's down, and then at the end, this is where I nearly broke down crying. He dies. He legit dies because the cancer came back and whooped him down to nothing. And he passed. But he had a child before the cancer took him over fully. And when the wife started writing after he passed, that's where I just sat there and I was like, wow. And each part of the title of each page that you read It just said, cease not till death, cease not till death, cease not till death. And that's such an empowering line, because sometimes we wish for it to end rather than just push through the challenge. Embrace that if our bodies are the way they are now, whether it's in pristine or unfavorable condition, we want to look at it with a smile on our face and just keep going. Even if our words conjecture otherwise, or we make a joke trying to fight through the agony of what truly matters to us. And it's absurd to think that just because we fight that we're going to just get that result that we want. I think Albert Camus went deep into that as well, like The Stranger and so forth. Because we're not guaranteed anything in this world. And who says with certainty is actually the one that is truly wrong. Do not offer guarantees, because there is no guarantee in life. We offer our best service and outcome and our commitment to what we can do. That's highly likely of succeeding. And if you can live in that regard, it's just a far better conviction in what you know, because of the reps that you've done prior. And Ernest Becker, The Denial of Death. If we want to seek legacy projects, something that lets our ember stay after we pass, because we are ones that want something that's, I dare say, everlasting. However we interpret our face is not the point here. It's something that we want to leave behind so people can understand what we were, what we think, and to know in peace that they've done something that can be remembered, that impacts lives. Whether the outcome is good or bad, that's not the point. It only matters as if you care. And I'm going to go off a different tangent here and explore this vein of love. And the greatest line that I had to understand love came from the Gospel of Philip in the Nag Hammadi that I read. And it said, to love is to give. And I went, oh my goodness. So we've been talking about like how death and all these other parts connect together. And now we're looking at love. Because love isn't guaranteed. There's only two things that you're guaranteed in life and death. But love, that's something that's given time and time and time again. And it has marvelous ways of interpreting and of giving that affection. The Greeks had it with their 5 ways of explaining it. Gary Chapman of the 5 love languages had a way of explaining it. And in all that context, it's just showcasing and diagnosing how we truly connect to people and what truly relates with us. Because to give means that the opposite is true. Someone will take. And you have to accept the fact that when they take it, there can be envy, ego, hatred, and all these things. But because those things exist, it's good. But you must be resilient to it. When they spew fire and they're going after you, be calm. Accept it. If they want to take your life or go after your stuff, defend yourself, prepare. But if all that you do is not enough, accept the fate of it. I'm not saying just bend over and take it. No. What I'm saying is, you've done all the best you can do. The regret is the lesson, the teacher in that moment. It's not to be the club, merely as the acceptance of what is to come. to know that we play in the external controls and the internal controls of our lives, and seeing where our strategy and acceptance can coincide to having the greater life that we want. Because love is a choice. And fear is control. Why would fear be control? And it's quite simple. If one cannot focus, have emotional IQ high enough to combat it, action and responsibility, you are now subject to the whim of another. Because your mind is now being warped to the idea of what someone else projects to you. You think that you're sovereign over yourself, but the answer is no. You're not sovereign. You're just being played. And it's not just pointing and blaming at somebody, but a whole thing that just keeps going. The same way with the habits keep going by small little actions. It's the same little actions that you find everywhere else, and then people mimic that. And then as they keep mimicking, the results keep going in that direction. But love is the choice. We have this choice to give of happiness or negative. But if we are to give, we want to give in the regards of how nature would give. And that's positive. You don't walk up to a tree and get yelled at. You don't walk through a forest and hear people screaming at you. Now, you may find a bear or a boar or something in the area, or a snake, and it might make noise. But most of the time when you're in nature, unless it's like a crazy thunderstorm or some wild disaster where sublime comes in, it's not yelling at you. It's doing its thing, with or without your input. And that's the choice. Because the choices are already being made in flow of itself. And you just got to be okay with it. And then there's points where you can't be okay with it. You have to put an external force to something to make it go through. Now you may be saying, well, that's redundant. You're going against yourself. I know. But there's a point to that. If we know that we are going to die, we have to live with a regard of acting and accepting the outcomes, whether good or bad. Once again, that's the duality of life. It's always in dual nature, reap what you sow, all those types of mantras is going back to the same thing. We will die. But where we draw the lines is what makes the difference. And those who have the acumen of knowing that as more we learn, the less we actually know, they've conquered more of their ego and envy. And those things can truly destroy somebody. You want to die? Not with ego and envy on your heart. You want to die living with purpose, empowering others, not gatekeeping forever. Because we're living here right now to learn. And in that learning, there's imperfection. And you just have to come to peace with that. The product that you give out, it's beautiful in the way that it's not perfect. You can't ever truly be perfect unless you're trying to be a god. And that's not something I think is a feasible go for. You must exhibit some delusion in going after a business or some part. I acknowledge that heavily. But your delusion should not go into grandeur where you cannot make confident decisions. If I told you I wanted to snap my finger and fire come from my hands, that is a huge delusion because I can't make that happen out of my hands. Now, I could create a device on my wrist and put things on my hand to protect it and do that same action and innovate that type of way if I want it. Or I code it on a video game. That's possible because I'm looking at it in that perspective. But I can't have the snap my finger and flames come out. That's not logical. But I can get closer to it by having the untangible becoming more tangible by experimentation and prototyping. And this is a little of a ramble. So let me leave you with this, my VIP cohort. Death comes for all of us. If we stay in a place that does not reward us, that we keep lowering our standards to others, what do we become? When you look at the eyes of someone that will pass, because we have to see it once. We have to see that we're human. And we don't get to take a pile of gold where we're going. We don't step out of the coffin with a big bag of gold. No. Those funds are there to help you live the life that you want to decide and choose, given the constructs of your society and laws and yada, yada, yada. But no government can take away the two absolutes, life and death. Yeah, both have to exist. So don't live not going after something. Put that purpose in line. Fail. Go after it again. Look for help. Because nobody's going to come save you. The only way they can come save you is if you ask and put something in the regards that you can share with them and they can share with you. And after those interactions, they'll come to save you because you've done the work and they've done the work. And you have relatability. So, learn. And remember, Memento Mori. Deuces, my VIP cohort. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon.